Hello, everyone. This is Jummy Alawale. Welcome to Life, Love, and Therapy podcast. I would like to let you guys know about an upcoming women's conference, and it will be taking place on the 21st of September. I'm going to have amazing women speakers that will be covering topics such as how to build resilience and take care of ourselves using yoga and mindfulness techniques. We're going to be talking about boundary setting, perfectionism and vulnerability, balancing our career, motherhood, and marriage, sex, intimacy, desire, and libido, and also how to move through transitions when we feel like other people seems to be thriving and we just feel like we're not progressing. I can't wait for you to be in attendance and listen to the amazing women that are going to be talking at this conference. So you can get your tickets as soon as possible by going to eventbrite.com and searching for Embrace the Mess Women's Conference. You can also find the tickets on my Facebook page at Jummy Alawale Therapy and Counseling, as well as if you go on my Instagram page, you can also find it at Jummy Alawale the Therapist. Welcome to Life, Love, and Therapy. I am Jummy Alawale. This show is about learning tips, advice, and ideas about how to improve our lives and relationships from the viewpoint of a therapist. Welcome to Life, Love, and Therapy. This is Jummy Alawale. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about letting go. Struggling with letting go is very much a human experience. Some of us are better at it than others. On today's show, we'll explore what makes it difficult to let go and when and how to let go. I grew up in a culture of endurance. I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. Several years ago, Nigerians were deemed the happiest people on earth. I honestly believe that if that study were to be repeated today, Nigerians will still be at the top. The result will still be similar. And the reason is because in Nigeria, at least the culture that I grew up in when I was in Nigeria, there is this thing called suffering and smiling. To suffer and smile pretty much means that you keep your smile on your face no matter what it is that you're going through. I believe that suffering and smiling has its own advantages. One of the advantages of suffering and smiling is you don't have to be vulnerable with anyone, so nobody needs to weaponize whatever it is that you're going through. Another positive thing that can come out of suffering and smiling is that it makes you get your work done. It can even build resilience. But you can quickly see the dark side of that. If you are the type of person that has to suffer and smile, it's pretty much a way of telling you don't feel what you feel. You can imagine the type of jiu-jitsu that it requires for you to be able to deny your own experience. Some of you might have grown up in a similar culture. It may be the way that you were raised, but I want to tell you today that there is a time to let things go. We don't always have to hoard experiences, hoard relationships, hoard things that we don't need to keep hanging on to. But it's only wisdom that helps us to know when to stay in order to build resilience and patience and when to leave. Wisdom and discernment will tell us when to leave in order to protect our mental and physical health. Letting go can feel like failure. So how do you give up on hopes and dreams and sacrifices that you have made over time? If you don't let go of something that is no longer serving you, it is very much akin to watering a dead plant. It doesn't matter how often you water that plant. When it's dead, it simply is dead. So what makes it difficult for us to let go? I think that there are four main reasons why people struggle to let go. The first reason why people struggle to let go is that people find that they have invested too much. We see this in relationships where people feel like they've put so much effort And that relationship is almost like putting a lot of capital into a business. You want a return on your investment. I once had someone say to me that they did not want to proceed with a divorce out of fear that all the work that they've put in would have made their husband a better man for another woman. They completely forgot about how abusive this man has been. They forgot about the mental torture that they had endured. What this person failed to see was that her husband's abusive behavior had nothing to do with her. I had to remind her that it was never her job to make him good enough man. It wasn't because of her, and that was a choice that he made. How many of us cannot let go of a relationship, a job, a friendship, because we feel like we put too much effort? We did a lot of planting and weeding and watering, and we're afraid that someone else will come and harvest where they did not even plant. It doesn't matter if you walk away and somebody else comes to pick up the harvest that you have planted. What about you? What seeds are you planting for yourself? Have you looked at your blood pressure lately? Have you looked at your mental health lately? You are paying the price. What seeds of health? What seeds of joy? What seeds of happiness are you planting for yourself? And which one of those are you harvesting? Because every day you are giving up so much of yourself to the point right now that you're finding yourself in a space where you're completely emotionally bankrupt. But how long does it take to plant and grow something? Should it take an entire lifetime? You should at least see signs of life. You've been at your job for more than 10 years and things are not changing, they're only getting worse. You've had this toxic friend since childhood, but because you've known each other since you were in kindergarten, you're having a difficult time letting it go. You've had a family member that you've known since birth because you believe that blood is thicker than water. You're not able to see that this situation is extremely dysfunctional and toxic for your health. The relationship you've been in for 15 years, but you feel like you've done so much work for 15 years that you can't possibly let it go. But one thing you have forgotten is that most of the time that you've been in this relationship, it has not been good. So could it be that the reason you struggle so much to let go is because you give too much? Could it be that you made yourself the center of these people's world? Could it be that you actually told yourself that you were responsible for other people's emotional growth? Could it be that you were doing the emotional work of two people? Could it be that you give more than you could actually afford? In many ways, we gaslight ourselves so that we can deny ourselves of the fact that is right in front of us. We tell ourselves that those weird feelings that we are having about certain situations are not true when they are, because we don't want to believe that they are true. We don't want to believe that that friend that makes those backhanded and underhanded comments about our successes, that maybe that they're envious and they're jealous. We don't want to believe that because we want to believe that they're good people, because we only have good people as friends. We don't want to believe that our family members are people that are jealous. We don't want to believe that our family members don't want the best for us. Why? Because we want to believe that family members are good and blood is thicker than water. We don't want to believe that our partners are treating us badly, that our partners are not pulling their weight, that our partners are abusive. Why? Because, well, we've gone and married them. We told all of our friends that they're good people. We've posted on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter how happy we are when really things are not as they should be. So because of that, we have become prisoners. We have become prisoners of our own successes. All I'm telling you is that it doesn't have to continue to be this way. When are you going to give yourself permission to let go? It's time to do that. It is time for you to draw your boundary lines and stop being responsible for things that don't belong to you. A second reason why I believe that people struggle to let go is because they can't let go of the goals and dreams attached to that situation. Maybe you had plans to get married and have multiple children, but you finally got married and have been unsuccessful with getting pregnant or having kids. Maybe you expected that you'd be married and that you will have your own family, but right now you are 40 years old and there are no potentials in sight. Maybe you wanted to be married forever and now there's a divorce looming. Maybe you expected that by this time you'll be making a certain amount of money and you'll be in a different position in your company, but you're not even being promoted. Maybe right now you expected that you'll be engaged, but then you found out that the person that you love is a philanderer, or that they don't love you, or that you don't share the same goals. Maybe you've had this best friend forever since you were in kindergarten, but you finally found out that they have been betraying you. So you are now in this space where dreams come to die. How painful it must be to look at your hopes and dreams and all the work that you've put in and all the goals that have been attached to these people be crushed. I cannot imagine how difficult that must be. But what you have to understand is this. The dreams and hopes you created, they might not be coming to fruition, but it is absolutely possible for you to create new dreams. Right now, there is clear evidence in your life that the goals and dreams that you had for yourself are not happening. Are you going to try to dream a new dream, or are you going to get stuck here? A lot of us, we tend to dig in our heels. We say, no, it is not fair. You can't let go of this, because letting go of those dreams and goals and visions simply feel like death. When you won't accept that the hopes and dreams you had about a particular situation is not going to come to fruition, when you won't accept that the way you expected it is not going to work out, then you're simply operating out of denial. You are having a fit with life. It is a way of you saying, this isn't fair, and I am not going to get up until things work out the way that I dreamt that it would. You have imagined yourself and your identity relating to these stories and visions and dreams and expectations in your mind, which leads me to number 3 of why it is difficult for us to let go. It's because the way that we currently see ourselves is entangled with the visions and dreams that we had about whatever the relationship is. Whether it's a marital relationship, it's a friendship, it's a sibling relationship, it's a job relationship, it really doesn't matter. Right now, you're asking yourself, if I am not married, who am I? If I don't have kids, who am I? If I am getting divorced, who am I? If I leave this job, this company, or this position, who am I? Basically, your identity is attached to the hopes that you have always had about the future. It is difficult for you to reimagine yourself any other way. You have spent months and years building this image, and it is crumbling down in your face. You didn't even have a conscious awareness of how much time and energy and resources you've expended creating this particular image. But right now, it is time to let it go. And letting it go does not mean that you have failed. It means that you can let go of the self that you knew or that you thought you knew so that you can give space to create something new. Within my Nigerian Yoruba culture, there's a saying that goes something like this: Tababini atunra enibi. What that pretty much means is that there is an opportunity once your parents have given birth to you for you to be able to give birth to yourself again. In other words, once you are birthed, you are expected to birth yourself. There is an understanding that the way that you are raised as a child by your parents isn't the only time that you're expected to grow. There's a time in your life that growth has to occur again, that you have to parent yourself again, that you get to make the determination about the person that you are becoming. But when you dig your heels in the ground, you are refusing to allow yourself to rebirth yourself. This is an opportunity here. The future is so bright and is filled and pregnant with so much potential. So what are you going to birth in this new you? If you don't give yourself permission to rebirth, to redream a new dream for yourself, then you are watering a dead plant. One of the reasons why it's so difficult for us to reimagine ourselves differently, to birth something new, is simply because of the fear of the future, the fear of the unknown. Many of us are in toxic relationships. We have become so comfortable in that relationship because it's familiar. Familiarity with dysfunction simply normalizes it. You think that this is normal. You feel like this is the best you're going to get. Because imagining a different future for yourself is so difficult. To think about the future, a future that is unknown, a future that you have no control over, it can be very scary for you. But that future is also pregnant with so much possibilities. It is time for you to come into the future. So how do you let go? Well, first thing you need to do is give yourself permission to have failure as an option. I remember several years ago when I was getting ready to start my own private practice, I was so afraid that nobody would show up. I was so sure that it was going to fail that that's what I kept saying to myself and repeating to my family members and my husband. And I remember one time my husband saying to me, "This is a dream that you've always had, so let's just do it. If it fails and clients are not coming, then we'll just close shop." That was in 2015. Now we're in 2019 and I am thriving and I have moved 3 times. What made the difference for me was hearing my husband tell me to put failure on the table, to make failure an option. And when failure had to be on the table, it lost the sting. We are human beings. We are not infallible. We are all going to fail at some point. But ultimately, failure can be what I call a form of research. Failure can be information that we will be able to glean only by failing. There are certain things that you're never going to learn if you don't fail. There are certain plants that don't grow in the heat of the sun. They only grow in the coolness of the evening and in the shadows. And there are certain strengths within us that can only grow when we have been through certain things, when we've been through pain, when we've been through failures, when we have traveled really difficult, treacherous terrains. And you have got to understand that there's no way that you can live through life without missteps, without mistakes, and without failures. The next thing that we need to consider is understanding that bad things happen to good people. A lot of us struggle because we feel like we're good people. We do things the right way. We follow the rules. And we look around and we see a lot of people who don't follow the rules look like they're having the most fun. But the truth is that every single day when we wake up, the sun is going to shine on everybody, whether you're good or you're bad. The rain is going to rain on everyone, whether you're bad or whether you're good. Bad things happen to good people. Bad things are going to happen. That is just part of life. And when we get that curveball, it doesn't mean that we go and shrink in a corner. When life throws us a curveball and we're in a relationship that is toxic and isn't good for us, when a friendship has outlasted its time, then it is absolutely time for us to tell ourselves it is okay. It doesn't mean that you are giving up. It doesn't mean that you are failing. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons why we don't like to let go of things, because we can't control the outcome. You've got to accept that you have to live with ambiguity. There are certain things that it doesn't matter how much you want to control for, you're not going to be able to control it. And that is okay. That it's okay that you may fail, but that failure gives you an opportunity to gather more data. It means that you have the opportunity to learn from your failure. I tell people all the time, there is no way that you can bake the cake of success without failure as an essential ingredient. You've got to read books and listen to stories of people that you admire. They're going to tell you about their challenges. They're going to tell you about the hurdles that they went through. And they're going to tell you how they kept on pushing. It's not because they were not afraid. They did it despite the fear. They allowed themselves to put failure on the table as an option. Lastly, I want you to know that the future is full of potentials and opportunities. The same way that you were able to dream that old dream, the same way that you're able to imagine yourself differently in that old dream, you can do it again. You have the power of imagination. Don't let the hurt of this world, don't let the disappointment of this world, don't let the toxicity and the dysfunction of this world steal your ability to dream. You are able to dream a new dream for yourself. But one thing might be getting in the way. When your hands are holding on to hurt, to pain, to traumas, to relationships that are no longer serving you well, when you're expending energy, pouring water into a dead plant, understand that you are taking away essential energy, time, brain bandwidth to actually use to focus on something new in the future. You see, if you are able to allow yourself and give yourself permission to let go of what is no longer serving you, if you allow yourself to come into the place of acceptance, if you allow yourself to grieve that loss, you'll be able to create a new space to dream a new dream. That is it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I want to remind you guys again about registering for the upcoming Women's Conference. The Embrace the Mess Women Conference is going to be amazing. Register as soon as possible. There is an early bird sale going on right now, so you can still get a discounted ticket Get yours, tell your girlfriends, and while you're at it, you can grab yourself the Embrace the Mess t-shirt. Have a good one and see you next time. That is it for this episode. Thank you for joining. If you're looking for ways to help this show, please leave a nice review and recommend this podcast to your friends. Also, don't forget to like me on Facebook at Jummy Olawale Therapy and Counseling, and follow me on Instagram at Jummy Olawale the Therapist. If you have any topics that you would like me to cover on this podcast, please reach out to me via Facebook or Instagram. And you can also send me an email to jummyolawale@gmail.com. This is your host, Jummy Olawale. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.